Welcome to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And to our viewers at home, we typically end our show with a viewer question, but today there's a very special treat. We're going to start with a viewer question. Kristen, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
It's so good to see you. I'm doing wonderful as well. Thank you for asking. You look beautiful as always.
So do you.
You do. Greg, how are you?
Awesome.
Great.
I get to be here with you guys today, so looking forward to today's show.
I am too. I love our time together in the studio. And to our viewers at home, we love you. We're going to start today with a viewer question because we know that you've had a lot on your mind recently. So we have chosen one viewer question to open the show. So I'm going to get right to it. Here we go. It's my wife and I are 6 months into our retirement and finally have time to take inventory of where we stand. We have a will that is over 20 years old and no other estate planning documents. We would like for our family to avoid probate if possible. Should we update our will to keep things out of probate? Greg and Kristen, great viewer question.
Really great question. And I'd like to start off by directly answering it, if you will, because understand that a will is an engraved invitation to probate. It doesn't keep you from dealing with probate.
Okay.
So unfortunately, now it does keep you from testate, but with a will, it's listing out the things that you would like, the desires of your heart, if you will. And I keep saying if you will, I should say no pun intended, right?
Yes.
However, with probate, it's the process of proving that will to be true and valid. So it is going to be a process. Now, you can avoid that in a lot of cases with just simply naming beneficiaries on accounts where it's possible, or doing payable on death or transfer on death.
Okay.
And you know, probate isn't the end of the world, but the three things we don't like about probate is the amount of time that it takes to get everything through. And we had a family member pass away about 3 years ago, and still dealing with some of the complications of probate, even after, and just one thing went through probate. So you have to think about time.
Absolutely.
Cost. It's more expensive for it to go through probate than if it avoided it. And then there's something called loss of privacy. Everything that goes through that probate process becomes a matter of public record.
Yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
there are actually companies that peruse those public records as a way to market to us. So
Doesn't that just feel wonderful?
yeah.
I know, right? That is terrible.
It's creepy.
It is creepy.
So what are our options? If we don't want it to go through probate, well, there are things called trusts.
Okay.
And so there are revocable trusts,
Okay.
ones that you can change later. So if you change your mind about some things, you can change a revocable trust because they are revocable. You can change them. There are irrevocable trusts. Now, why would someone create an irrevocable trust, something that you can't change? Well, under the law, if we title some of our assets into an irrevocable trust, after a 5-year period, they're no longer part of our estate, technically, as far as things like nursing home are concerned. So if we had maybe a family farm we wanted to protect from nursing home, or some other assets we wanted to protect from nursing home, once those have been titled into the irrevocable trust, after 5 years, those aren't countable towards that spin down process for nursing home. So it can help protect them.
Okay.
Now, the thing we don't like about an irrevocable trust, though, we have to give up all control. Somebody else has to control those assets on our behalf.
Okay.
It can't be us.
Right.
So those are things, yeah.
And
Okay.
speaking of control, I think one thing that is important to point out when people are trying to decide if they want a trust or a will, and designating beneficiaries and all that, is remembering that a lot of times a trust gives you the opportunity to control things from the grave, if you will.
Okay.
You know, it allows you that ability to really make sure that what you desire to happen after you're gone gets carried out.
Okay.
For sure. And that's true in the case, say, maybe you have a child that isn't quite responsible with money or has some struggles, then that can certainly help. There's also wills. We talked about the wills, and you don't want things to go intestate, as Kristen mentioned, where you have no instruction. So will does help with that. And then there's what are called designations. So you can have TOD, which stands for transfer on death.
Okay.
And you can have POD, which stands for payable on death. So as an example, on your bank accounts, you could have your name on the bank account. Rather than listing someone else that has control of that money now, you can list payable on death. So when you pass away, that money is just paid out to the listed beneficiaries there on
Oh, wow.
POD.
Okay.
On transfer on death, you can do that. In Ohio, you can do that on the deed to your home. You can do that on car titles. You can do that to stock certificates and things like that, where it can be transferred to someone else upon your death, and it avoids the probate process. So there's more than one way to beat that probate process, either through a trust, through those designations, but either way, we want to make sure that people are getting good advice. And so with that, Kristen and I aren't attorneys.
Right.
Right.
And we don't have attorneys in-house because we don't feel like, in-house we can really address everybody's needs. Some people need estate planning, some people need elder law, some
Real
people
estate.
real estate.
Yes.
One of our families was dealing with a real estate matter and called, and we got them a referral recently.
Perfect.
And then also special needs for families who have that child that's a special needs child. We don't want them to lose benefits, so having that right attorney to send people to is so important.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, you care so much about your clients. You want them to be handled with care and guided in the right direction. So having
Yes.
these people at your fingertips is such a resource. It makes it a one-stop shop for your clients, if you
It
will.
really does.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting in this viewer question, they stated that they were finally taking inventory of where they stood.
Yes.
And I think it's important to, and it's okay that if you're already 6 months in or a year in or even 5 years in, that you're starting to take inventory, but wouldn't it be nice to take inventory before you retire?
Absolutely.
I mean, that would be so nice to just know where you stand, know what you need, know what questions you need to ask an advisor that you're considering to work with your family. And we've made it really easy on our website. We have what's called a retirement kit,
Okay.
where you can go on and download it directly from the comfort of your home, right in our tools section of our website, and start filling it out. And what happens, I think, when people start doing that a lot of times is they start saying, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, I
Yes.
wonder, what this expense is. There's expenses listed. There's an area for you to put people like your attorney you work with or your CPA you work with. And so as you're going through the exercise of this folder, you realize what questions you might have to ask someone or what holes are there that need to be addressed when you start planning and looking to an advisor to do a complete planning review with you.
That makes sense. And Kristen, is the other red flag the fact that the will was 20 years old without being looked at recently?
Absolutely, and we'll probably go into that later in the show, but that is an area that I think happens more often than you realize.
Absolutely.
Where when you're young and you're just starting out and you're getting things in order, you get that set and you set it and you forget it. You don't look at it again and change it and update it as life changes.
Thank you. Well, Greg, you and Kristen have a very special offer to present today. Let's talk about what that is before we open the phone lines.
Well, for sure, because just things like this, where we're talking about wills and trusts and TOD and POD and all these things, all the ODs, right? And
Hopefully that was a
nobody,
bad.
we don't want anybody to OD, but
Okay, dig yourself out of this hole.
I got to get out of this hole right now.
Good.
But we want people to look at the whole picture. The whole pack is our 10-year-old. I started to say 7-year-old.
Whole package.
Yeah, he wants the whole pack, right? But looking at your investment strategy, making sure it's efficient, making sure you have enough income to last your lifetime. That's so vitally important. Taxes. I mean, if you think they might go up in the future, you might want to address it now. Healthcare. Don't be sideswiped by that. Be prepared for healthcare matters that can happen. It happens to all of us at some time. And then whatever's left behind. Let's get that to the people we love as efficiently as possible with as little hassle. And so our complete planning review process addresses all those things. And there's no cost. There's no obligation for this. Just, if you're interested in this, give us a call, 614-336-7660, or go to our website, legacyretirementgroup.com. Download that My Retirement Kit. It'd be a great resource for you to get started.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is 614-336-7660. What you're calling in for today is the complimentary complete planning review. let Greg and Kristen take a look at what you currently have in place for your retirement and for those years that are coming and even after you're gone. And make sure that your wishes will be properly carried out. Again, 614-336-7660. If you have your smartphone handy, go ahead, grab it, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to Legacy Retirement Group's landing page. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, I want to talk to Greg and Kristen more in depth about maybe some common mistakes that they've seen with legacy planning. Stay tuned.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Kristen Taylor with Legacy Retirement Group. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. We specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and much, much more. Plan your retirement right. Call right now for your own complimentary portfolio review and tax analysis.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. Greg and Kristen, I want to ask you a question. Do you see some common mistakes when it comes to legacy planning? Greg?
For sure. Well, the easiest thing to do when you're living, Cynthia, is to do nothing.
True.
Absolutely. The hardest thing for your beneficiaries when you're gone, however, is if you do nothing. So doing nothing is a huge mistake we see. The second thing is when we try to do it all ourselves. Now,
And we see that even with mega stars and the mega wealthy.
Oh, yes.
Trying to do it themselves.
Oh, my
right?
goodness.
It's a train wreck.
Absolutely.
look, I understand, I am not a do-it-yourselfer when it comes to all the maintenance things around the house.
No.
I mean, I am not. And part of it is I realize my shortcomings when it comes to that. So I have a great friend named Lewis, and he's over our house all the time with all the little things. Recently, in the same day, our hot water tank and our furnace stopped working all on the same day.
No.
Yes.
That is the worst.
For sure. So what do? First thing I do is get up, call Lewis. He's over there. Well, it's this, it's that. And next thing you know, it's all fixed. Well, if I tried to figure that out, it's a train wreck. Well, we've seen that a lot when it comes to estate planning, the do-it-yourself type of estate planning. Now, the problem is, first of all, we don't know, are we capturing all the proper laws that we need to do? Just if you go online, download that boilerplate type of plan, or even worse, what we've seen so many times over the years is when people think, well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to transfer it to my children while I'm living. And sometimes people do that as a way to avoid nursing home spin down. Sometimes they do it just to get it to the next generation. And recently, we had a family come in. They were part of some of the boom here locally where land is selling for just tremendous amounts with businesses coming in, buying up land. And so they were able to sell this small farm for $4 million.
Okay.
So a big boom for them. Well, the great-grandparents bought this farm for $4,000.
Okay.
Isn't that
So
amazing?
that's the cost basis.
That is amazing.
So before the great-grandparents passed away, they transferred it into the grandparents' name,
Okay.
and now it became theirs. Before the grandparents passed away, they put it into the parents' name. So it went from great-grandparents to grandparents, now to parents. The parents, before they passed away, transferred it to our client and a sibling. So this sale took place, and they're thinking, okay, when Dad passed away, it was worth just about $4 million, so we shouldn't owe any tax. But what happened, because they did it themselves all those years over and over again, they didn't transfer it through a trust. They didn't transfer it directly from generation to generation afterwards. It had the original cost basis of $4,000. So instead of paying zero tax
Oh, no.
with a proper plan, now they owe tax on $4 million.
Oh, no.
So that was a huge, huge mistake.
Wow. What do you do to help someone in that situation?
Well, while people are still living, we're giving them guidance. Okay, even if you transferred it into your child's name, okay, let's see what else can be done. And we get them in front of an estate planning attorney who can help. That can help them draw up the proper documents, that can help them, accomplish their goals in a better manner. So if they were doing it to avoid nursing home, then let's use an irrevocable trust.
Okay.
Now, when that transfers from the trust to the family, it gets that full step up in basis. This is a huge, huge tax problem. There's lots of other problems that can happen. We've seen people transfer properties to their children. Then the children decide they want to sell the property. The children get sued.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that can happen where there's lots of family problems simply because they didn't follow proper steps and procedures.
And then, Greg, I should also ask, are you ever seeing any mistakes made due to the fact that so many families are blending now, blended families?
Oh, yes, for
Okay.
sure. And one of the toughest things that we've seen, and unfortunately in my 30 plus years of doing this, we've had lots of people pass away.
Sure.
And whenever money's involved, it changes the narrative after someone passes, especially if you now have children from two different families that are now trying to come to terms with what's fair.
Right.
Well,
right.
one person's idea of what's fair may not always be in alignment with what someone else thinks is fair. So making sure that you've addressed all those things, because that can help keep harmony and peace in the family if your wishes are made known and are laid out in such a way that the kids really can't do anything about it. Because all that really matters, all that's really fair, is what we think is fair to our children.
Sure.
We're the ones that earned it. We're the ones that worked hard for it. So let's make sure that we get our wishes declared so there's no hard feelings within the family.
That makes sense, Greg. Thank you so much. Well, Kristen, you and Greg have a very special offer to present today. Let's talk about what that is before we take our second commercial break.
Yeah, so it's our complete planning review. And so sitting down and having the conversation up front before you get into a situation where maybe things are, not going too well, you sit down and get that planning review taken care of before you retire so that you can have peace of mind, if you will, as you get through those retirement years, that things are in order. And like we like to say, a good retirement plan is a living, breathing organism. So get started. Even if it has to change, we can move through your retirement years confidently. You can call us at 614-336-7660 or visit us anytime on our website at legacyretirementgroup.com.
Kristen, thank you so much. Greg, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is 614-336-7660. We know you're in the viewing audience right now and you're wondering, do I have everything I need for a comfortable, holistic, well-balanced retirement? If you're unsure of that answer, this is the perfect opportunity for you to call in today and take advantage of the complimentary planning review. Again, 614-336-7660, or go ahead, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, I have another viewer question for Greg and Kristen. It could be yours. Stay tuned.
Plan smart, retire well. How do you do that? Many times we meet families and they actually think they have a plan.
But what about when you want to upgrade your house? What about when your wife wants to buy new furniture?
No investment decision should be made outside the context of a plan. So what is your plan? We believe in the 3-bucket approach as it comes to your finances. Your liquid bucket, which is what I call the sleep well at night account, for when the what ifs happen in life. Your income bucket, which is there to meet the gap between Social Security, maybe a pension, and what you really want to live in. We believe you should protect that income, then grow the rest. And then your growth bucket. The growth bucket's really focusing on helping you achieve your growth goals. As you transition from your working career to retirement, we want that to be the greatest moment of your life, and we don't want you to fumble the ball.
So imagine, when you're working, you're getting a paycheck. When you're retired, you have to pay yourself. The 3-bucket approach is a really easy way for people to start compartmentalizing what they're doing with their money.
We want you to be successful in any economy. We want you to thrive no matter what's going on. You know, worry and fear and greed are the biggest problems when it comes to investing. We want to take that off the table, and we want to make sure you have a consistent growth strategy. We want you to be just as successful in your retirement plan as you were in your accumulation plan.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I am joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group, and we have a viewer question. I'm so excited. I love to hear what these are each and every week, so I'm going to jump right in. Said Greg and Kristen. Greg and Kristen. I just put
We were
Christian in
talking
the
about
show.
Christian. I know. Hi, Christian.
I love it. Hey, Christian. Viewer question. I have never felt comfortable meeting with an attorney, and I have heard they can be very expensive. I did a simple will online, but now I'm questioning whether or not I have everything in order to accomplish my goals. Can you provide a referral to me?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And you're not really different than a lot of people out there. Matter of fact, on social media, I've seen packages being sold where, you know, you can buy a package for whatever it is you're trying to do from a legal aspect. And that's just, I don't want to say it's dangerous. That's kind of a strong word, but it can be, especially if you have specific needs in place for your estate planning. So we have estate planning attorneys that we refer our clients to that are established practices of their own. They're separate from us. We feel like it's necessary to have that separate relationship. We're not getting anything from sending our clients to the estate planning attorneys we use. It's just a trusted referral that we like to steer people towards.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because that's all part of that fiduciary responsibility to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And part of doing the right thing is make sure that there's not a conflict of interest. So we have found estate planning attorneys that help people that have farmland.
Okay.
So they deal primarily with farmers. There are others that, as we talked about earlier in the show, that deal specifically with special needs.
Yeah.
Others that are more intricate estate planning attorneys that can help more difficult estates really organize, and that's kind of what they specialize in. Others for more simple estates. There are some that deal specifically in elder law, and with elder law, you're really trying to help people protect from nursing home costs.
Okay.
And, you know, Cynthia, one of our clients brought in a letter they got from, and I won't say the insurance company, but she and her husband have had a long-term care insurance policy for about 10 years now.
Okay.
And so they got a letter from this insurance company regarding a class action lawsuit that this insurance company was going through and things they were doing to rectify. And one of the things they were doing was offering them $10,000 to just give up their policy.
Wow.
Just give it up and we'll give you $10,000.
Okay.
The other was, okay, if you have lifetime benefits and a compounding inflation rider of more than 1%, on the letter it stated that the rates were going to go up 213%. 213%.
Holy moly.
Same.
If you had, correct, if you had a defined benefit, in other words, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, with an inflation rider of greater than 1%, it was going to go up 115%.
Wow.
115%. And
Wow.
so they were already combined paying about $7,000 a year for their two policies combined.
Okay.
So that means if they kept the benefits they already had, which was 4 years benefit with a compounding inflation rider of 5%, 115% increase means it's going to go over $14,000 a year.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So there's a lot of people
Wow.
that are looking for alternative ways to protect from long-term care. That's where elder law comes into play.
And do a lot of your people that you work with, that you refer out to, do they review things at no cost a lot of times just out of the kindness of their hearts?
Yes, they will review at no cost, and then they will come up with a game plan, and obviously there has to be an agreement as to the game plan before there's a cost.
The other smell test, I'm taking one of your terms there, is that there's not always a change needed.
Okay.
So if every time we send somebody to an attorney to look at something and they need to revamp the whole plan and charge them a couple $1,000s, if that happens every time, then that starts to not feel too good, you know? That feels like they're just doing things to do it. We've had great experiences with these individuals where they're able to look at what's been done, maybe make small tweaks in some cases, and sometimes it does include an overhaul. But you know, you can be a little more confident that you're not getting taken advantage of with that relationship.
And not to be lost in all this are what we call ancillary documents.
Okay.
So these are things like your financial power of attorney.
Okay.
And this is huge because in today's privacy law world, a husband can't just pick up the phone and call on behalf of his wife. A wife just can't pick up the phone and call on behalf of her husband. And if one of them is incapacitated, they can't act on their own behalf, whether it be through a cognitive impairment or some other impairment they're going through. This can be a nightmare for a family.
Absolutely.
Just a simple financial power of attorney that they give each other can allow them to now carry on business as usual without having to, you know, go to the court system and get some special guardianship. This can be big. A healthcare power of attorney to make those important healthcare decisions, a living will, all those things are vital, I think, as a part of an overall estate plan.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, we'd like to thank you for spending time with us today on Winning Retirement Television. What you're calling in for today is that complimentary portfolio review, that complimentary analysis, the planning review. Let them see what you currently have in place, and if there's any adjustments or tweaks that need to be made, Greg and Kristen are here to help you. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you back here 1 week from today on Winning Retirement Television with Greg and Kristen Taylor. Take care.